Hi, welcome to Future of XYZ. Today, I am super excited to be joined by a veteran of the fragrance industry, a leader for better part of 2 decades, the former president of Vera Wang, the former group president of fragrances for Estée Lauder companies, and current founder and CEO of Veronique Gabai, a fragrance company. And with me, I have Veronique Gabai.
Hello, Lisa. So happy to be with you today. Thank you for having me.
Le plaisir est à moi.
Oh, c'est trop joli.
So I'm going to just start by saying we're going to be talking because of your experience about the future of fragrance. Where do we even begin? I mean, I'm a fragrance junkie myself, I have to admit, and I don't even know where to begin this conversation. So I'm going to let you lead.
Well, it's wonderful to talk about the future of fragrance, but I think to understand what the future of fragrance can be, it's always good to realize where it comes from. And fragrance has been with us for as long as we have civilizations. Okay. It was in the thumbs and thumbs of, thumb. Yeah. I don't know how to say that. Anyway, I'm French girl. I can't pronounce English words, but it was, part of the rituals of ancient Egypt. It was part of the ritual in any civilization of that time, and even further back before that period of time. It was always there. And it was always there kind of for two very distinct reasons. One was about a ritual of preparation of the body and kind of an element of care and seduction. Mm-hmm. And the other part was to honor the gods and honor your connection with spirituality. And it turned into what we have today in churches and of any confession, if you will. But it also is interesting to see that the sense of smell is one that is located in the most ancient part of our brain. The brain that basically was our brain when we started as a species, contrarily to other senses which are located in the cortex, which is the more rational brain, right? So the sense of smell is the one that is in the part of our brain that is the most ancient and relates to the instinct of the human race. Okay, and what is this instinct? It is about protecting oneself against danger. Okay, we want to be safe. We want to protect ourselves. So we develop the sense of smell to feel where danger is. It is also about making sure that the race is pursued, right? So it's about reproduction, and hence it's about seduction. All right. So those are very, very important. And at the same time, it's very close to the center of the brain where we store our memories. Right. And that's why somehow, beyond the pure instinct part of what fragrance is about, which is kind of, honestly, it's universal because that's about being a human and not about a culture. Yeah. Then you have the part of the emotion that comes into play, which are more about the personal journey of someone, right? So your memories might not be mine, and therefore our connection to scent might be different. But all of that to tell you that, there is no question in my mind that fragrance will continue to exist in the utmost future of the human race. Absolutely. Because of that, right?
Well, it's so interesting because that split that you just mentioned, I've never thought about. But the fact that it's this ancient thing and the fact that it's in the center, so it's this memory, because we all know that. I mean, I was outside yesterday and it's unseasonably warm right now, right, in November. And we're thinking, oh my goodness, it smells like a place different than where I am. And that is always happening. Or you can walk into a hotel lobby and get a whiff of a person that just passed by or something. And so that memory is important and it connects the past, I guess, with the future, right?
Yeah, you do. And it's also trigger emotions that are very, very profound. Mm-hmm. Some scent could put you to tears because it puts you in a place or in the memory of someone that you miss.
Mm.
And some scent can exhilarate you because it puts you in a place of joy and escape. And that to me goes back to continuing to answer your question about the future of fragrance. I have no doubt that fragrance will be there with us. It's the way we look at it that can morph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in ancient time, it was about preparation for love and about connection with the divine. And then it became, it continued to be an element of seduction. And, all of the ads that you can see around fragrance on the more mainstream type of fragrance, I mean, it's an exercise in seduction. Okay, let's be
Always.
clear. And then you have also the part of fragrance that is related to self expression. And we had a lot of that. Then you had a movement that went back to really the idea of craft and really honoring the fantastic ritual that is fragrance, maybe not in a spiritual way, but in a respect for the craft, embellishment of the craft type of way. So the artistry of fragrance. And today, when we are faced with this incredible crisis that is around us, right? I think that it's funny because I feel that fragrance is starting to evolve again, or the role of fragrance is starting to evolve again. So, from seduction and self expression into something that becomes way more personal. Suddenly, fragrance is here to soothe you,
Yes.
to allow you to escape, to allow you to give you a moment to breathe outside of the craziness we're living in today.
Yeah.
So there's an element of well-being that comes into play with fragrance today that I think is extraordinarily interesting, and it's juxtaposed with the fact that people have been feeling so anxious and so scared that they're looking for an element of safety.
Yeah.
And who says safety says a greater connection with nature,
Mhm.
right? Because you need it. You need it to survive.
Yeah.
And so I think that you're going to see a bigger movement towards sustainability than ever before, and fragrance will be part of it. And at the same time, a much bigger realization of what is the role of nature within fragrance. So you link it now, all the dots, the craft, the nature, the harvesting of nature, the protection of nature, right? And how nature helps you to escape to a better place, to feel better, and to ensure your well being. That I think is the role of fragrance in the future.
And it's so interesting. So I want to ask, so there are lots of different ways of fragrance.
Yeah.
When we first started talking, because of your background, I of course think about les parfums, the perfume world, right? But of
Yeah.
course, fragrance, you have incense and you have room sprays and you have candles, not to mention natural scents that come out of things like cooking and
Yeah.
food and the savory sense of this. So when we think about kind of this move towards nature, which I love in fragrance, what are the applications or the vehicles for delivery that we think are going to really be moving us forward beyond the perfume?
Yeah, I think that you touch on something very important. So the home scenting, okay, whatever form it will take, it can be a candle, it can be something else. The idea of ritual around fragrance will become more important. And then I think there's also an element. So when we say ritual, I'm talking body products or self-care products, all of this. But I think also there's an element that will become, in my opinion, very interesting, is the idea of having your fragrance as a talisman. Okay, something that really gives you the feeling of security that you're looking for and the boost of energy that you're looking for at the moment you're looking for it. So,
Hmm.
I mean, for example, I don't know if you see this on your screen, but I
Beautiful.
had designed that necklace,
It's
that pendant,
gorgeous.
which basically contains a fragrance. Okay. And the idea was wherever you go, you have something that, okay, you spray a little something and boom, you're going to be in your happy place, if you will. And
It's
I think that,
fabulous.
it's a way to think of fragrance also in a different fashion, It's not just about the bottle. The bottle can stay home and it's a beautiful thing to have. But I think also the way that we wear fragrance is going to change.
Interesting. I like that idea because, and I also love having it close. I'm one of those people, again, as an obsessive, who has moved to all natural products in almost everything except
Yeah.
for fragrance, because it's hard to find
Yeah.
fragrances. You know, we're stuck in our ways somehow. And I love the idea of having something with me that at a moment, you know, when I move to the essential oils, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because they can modulate all sorts of, you know, if you put peppermint oil if you have a headache, you put, you know, geranium if you're feeling anxiety, or whatever the things are, eucalyptus for energy. So is this an idea that you change based on your moment, or are you creating things with your company that are tailored to a specific person?
So the two things. So first of all of my fragrances are based around the utmost quality of essential oil.
Mhm.
Okay, so basically when you wear a fragrance, you know, from just did a little because hey, I can. Okay. So there's different fragrances that do different things, and they all around ingredients that come from the Mediterranean because that's the region that I belong to with all my heart. And because the Mediterranean was the birthplace of hedonism and humanism.
Absolutely.
And it's also the place where you have the most bountiful nature, right? So we use the best essential oils ever. And so we have fragrances like, for example, my eau du jour is based on the best quality of citruses and wood. Citruses will uplift your mood like this. Noir de Mai is based on the rose de Mai, and rose is really one of these ingredients that help you recenter yourself. Okay. Vert Désir, you were talking about mint, is built around mint, and mint helps you collect your emotion, and so on and so forth. You can learn more on my site if you're interested. So there's this element of nature surrounding you inside the beautiful composition crafted by master perfumers. So you have the creativity and nature working together. But there's also another thing. And this other thing is that depending on who you are, or depending on your personality, depending on the mood you're in, you're going to want something else. And so we've developed also a personality test that you can also find on my site that is based on the science of kinesthetics. What is it? It's the correspondence between the senses. And we know that, for example, if you like a specific color, okay, or if you like certain food, or if you're more comfortable in certain type of environment and sensation, there's a great chance that we can define the fragrance family that you're going to love the most and that is right for you. So basically, this test is allowing you to fine tune, to reduce the field of possibilities, so that instead of having to try 20 fragrance, you try 3 or 4, and then you try them on skin, and that's the skin that's going to give you the final one.
That's great.
That's that unique chemistry that's going to give you the final one.
That is such a fascinating thing, just to pull it back. And as we kind of like, you know, think about wrapping up, I think one of the things that I really love about this idea of the personalization, the security, and what I love about the ability to just maybe take a test and learn more about what that fit would be, is that, of course, there's a plethora of options. And if you don't know fragrance, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And even if you do know fragrance, you don't know what's going to sit on your skin well, right? And that's a personal thing about, you know, if I'm cooking, you know, someone might not like the smell of, I don't know, peanut butter, but that's a personal taste. It's not a chemical thing, unless it's an allergy, of course. But on your skin with like perfume fragrance, it changes completely, right? I mean, is that chemistry that we're talking about, or what is that about?
Yeah, it is chemistry. And it's also depending also on the type of structure of a fragrance. So the more natural ingredients you have in a fragrance, and you're somebody who does use a lot of naturals, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
So the more concentration of naturals you have in one fragrance, the more it will evolve on the skin, because natural ingredients are alive.
Yes.
So is your skin, right? So the combination creates something very unique. The more synthetic you use, the more rigid, if you will, the scent will be. Not that it's wrong, because when you look at nature, sometimes we have to use synthetic to protect nature.
Mhm.
Okay. But the more natural you use, the more connection with the skin you're going to have. And to me, that is magical, because I want people to express who they are through my scent. I don't want to impose anything on anyone, right? And I also created booster fragrances that help you fine tune the signature, because I want you to have the possibility to express fully your personality.
I
So
love
there's,
that.
yeah, so self-expression, self-care, well-being, nature, all of that, are dots that I wanted to connect. And for me, the idea was to bring joy and beauty to people.
Yeah.
A little bit, I mean, I say it's sunshine in a bottle.
It's fantastic, and it really is. I mean, we go back to the mood uplifting. I think what I enjoy most about thinking about the future of, as you've structured it, is that we're moving more towards the past. We're moving more towards the ritualistic, spiritual connection of self, of our own relationship with the world, the natural world, but also our own beings, right?
Totally.
It's
Totally.
great. I
It's
like
much
that.
less of
And
a social experience and much more of a personal and spiritual experience, for
and
sure.
using the maximum ability of nature to harvest these ingredients to, as you said, synthetics can protect sometimes, but it's really optimizing what we already know from, thousands and thousands of years of fragrance making.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
It's exactly that.
Veronique, honestly, I could keep talking about fragrance for a very long time.
I
But
could too.
I really look forward to continuing the conversation offline. And for people who are listening, I hope you enjoyed. You can visit veroniquegabai.com
Yes, thank you.
to learn more, because I can guarantee that I will be. And thank you again for joining me.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody.